Question 1. What was the primary objective of the Statute of Labourers in 1351? A. To limit wages and restrict the movement of labourers. B. To increase wages due to a labour shortage. C. To abolish serfdom across England. D. To encourage foreign labourers to move to England. Answer. A. To limit wages and restrict the movement of labourers. The Statute of Labourers was introduced to control labour costs and restrict the mobility of workers following the population decline caused by the Black Death. Question 2. Who was the first monarch of the House of Tudor? A. Henry VII. B. Henry VIII. C. Elizabeth I. D. Edward VI. Answer. A. Henry VII. Henry VII was the first Tudor monarch after defeating Richard III at the Battle of Bosworth Field in 1485, marking the end of the Wars of the Roses. Question 3. What were the main terms of the Acts of Union 1707 between Scotland and England? A. Complete political independence for Scotland. B. Shared currency and economic policies only. C. Full unification of the parliaments and creation of the Kingdom of Great Britain. D. Military alliance without political unification. Answer. C. Full unification of the parliaments and creation of the Kingdom of Great Britain. The Acts of Union merged the parliaments of Scotland and England, forming a single sovereign state known as Great Britain. Question 4. Which treaty concluded the War of the Spanish Succession? A. The Treaty of Paris. B. The Treaty of Versailles. C. The Treaty of Utrecht. D. The Treaty of Westphalia. Answer. C. The Treaty of Utrecht. The Treaty of Utrecht in 1713 ended the War of the Spanish Succession and redefined European power balances. Question 5. Who was considered the father of the Royal Navy and what reforms did he implement? A. Sir Francis Drake. He introduced advanced navigational techniques. B. Henry VIII. He established the Navy's administrative framework and expanded its fleet. C. Admiral Nelson. He standardized combat tactics. D. Winston Churchill. He modernized naval warfare technologies during World War II. Answer. B. Henry VIII. He established the Navy's administrative framework and expanded its fleet. Henry VIII is credited with building a permanent navy, with its own dockyards and a systematic administrative structure. Question 6. Detail the causes and outcomes of the Peasants Revolt in 1381. A. Caused by religious persecution, resulted in significant peasant freedoms. B. Caused by oppressive taxation and harsh labour laws, led to the temporary success in cancelling serfdom. C. Caused by a royal succession crisis, led to a change in monarchy. D. Caused by foreign invasion, resulted in national unification. Answer. B. Caused by oppressive taxation and harsh labour laws, led to the temporary success in cancelling serfdom. The Peasants' Revolt was primarily triggered by socio-economic injustices, and although it failed to achieve lasting reforms, it forced the government to acknowledge peasant grievances temporarily. Question 7. What were the primary reasons for the English Reformation? A. Economic disagreements between the monarchy and the Church. B. Personal political ambitions of Henry VIII and disputes over church taxation. C. Invasion threats from Catholic nations. D. A major theological dispute initiated by the Pope. Answer. B. Personal political ambitions of Henry VIII and disputes over church taxation. The English Reformation was largely driven by Henry the Eighth's desire to secure a male heir and control over religious taxes in England. Question 8. Explain the significance of the Battle of Bosworth Field. A. It marked the beginning of the English Reformation. B. It ended the Wars of the Roses and established the Tudor dynasty. C. It was the last battle fought on English soil. D. It resulted in England's loss of the American colonies. Answer. B. It ended the Wars of the Roses and established the Tudor dynasty. The Battle of Bosworth Field in 1485 was pivotal in shifting the English crown to Henry Tudor, Henry VII, marking the start of new governance under the Tudor dynasty. Question 9. What led to the formation of the United Kingdom of Great Britain in 1707? A. The desire to streamline military defence strategies. B. Economic benefits and strengthen international presence. C. Cultural and social similarities between Scotland and England. D. The imposition of English rule over Scotland. Answer. B. Economic benefits and strengthen international presence. The unification under the Acts of Union 1707 was motivated by political and economic advantages, creating a stronger unified presence on the international stage. Question 10. Who was involved in the Gunpowder Plot of 1605, and what was their objective? A. Guy Fawkes and other Catholic conspirators to blow up the House of Lords and kill King James I. B. Oliver Cromwell to establish a republic. C. Elizabeth I to eliminate Catholic opposition. D. Henry VIII to dissolve the monasteries. Answer. A. Guy Fawkes and other Catholic conspirators to blow up the House of Lords and kill King James I. The Gunpowder Plot aimed to end Protestant rule by assassinating the king and restoring a Catholic monarch. Question 11. What role did Britain play in the Treaty of Utrecht? A. It mediated peace between France and Spain. B. It gained territories and trade advantages, including Gibraltar and Newfoundland. C. It lost significant overseas colonies. D. It had no significant role and merely observed the negotiations. Answer. B. It gained territories and trade advantages, including Gibraltar and Newfoundland. The Treaty of Utrecht allowed Britain to expand its influence and territorial holdings significantly. Question 12. What were the Corn Laws and what led to their repeal? A. Laws that imposed tariffs on imported corn to protect domestic farmers, repealed due to pressure from industrialists and protests by the working class. B. Laws that regulated the quality of corn sold in England, repealed due to lack of enforcement. C. Laws that banned the export of corn, repealed to encourage free trade. D. Laws that required the use of corn in biofuel, repealed due to technological advancements. Answer. A. Laws that imposed tariffs on imported corn to protect domestic farmers, repealed due to pressure from industrialists and protests by the working class. The repeal in 1846 came after widespread criticism that they artificially inflated food prices and favoured landowners over the poor. Question 13. How did the Great Reform Act of 1832 change the British electoral system? A. It introduced proportional representation. B. It abolished the monarchy's influence in Parliament. C. It extended the vote to working-class men and redistributed parliamentary seats. D. It allowed women to vote. Answer. C. It extended the vote to working-class men and redistributed parliamentary seats. The Act addressed electoral disparities by increasing the electorate and making representation more equitable. Question 14. What was the impact of the Irish potato famine on British politics? A. It led to Irish independence. B. It caused a shift in power from the monarchy to Parliament. C. It intensified calls for reform in land ownership and heightened tensions between England and Ireland. D. It had no significant impact on politics. Answer. C. It intensified calls for reform in land ownership and heightened tensions between England and Ireland. The famine highlighted the inadequacies of British policies in Ireland, fueling political and social unrest. Question 15. Who were the Young England movement in the Victorian era, and what did they advocate? A. A group of liberal politicians advocating for the expansion of the British Empire. B. A conservative political group that emphasized the return to traditional English values and social reforms. C. A socialist group that promoted workers' rights. D. An artistic movement that sought to modernize British literature and arts. Answer. B. A conservative political group that emphasized the return to traditional English values and social reforms. Young England sought to address the social issues of the day through a return to chivalric ideals and paternalistic governance. Question 16. What was the Contagious Diseases Acts and why were they controversial? A. Legislation that mandated public health measures during epidemics. B. Laws that required mandatory health checks for all citizens. C. Acts that specifically targeted prostitutes, subjecting them to involuntary medical examinations. D. Regulations that controlled the spread of livestock diseases. Answer. C. Acts that specifically targeted prostitutes, subjecting them to involuntary medical examinations. These acts were controversial because they were seen as discriminatory against women, particularly those suspected of prostitution, infringing on their rights and dignity. Question 17. Who was the last British monarch of the House of Stuart? A. James II. B. Anne. C. Charles II. D. William III. Answer. B. Anne, Queen Anne, was the last monarch of the House of Stuart, ruling until her death in 1714, after which the crown passed to the House of Hanover. Question 18. Describe the impact of the Opium Wars on British-Chinese relations. A. They led to improved diplomatic relations and trade agreements. B. They resulted in China ceding Hong Kong to Britain and opened additional ports to foreign trade. C. They triggered immediate Chinese industrialization. D. They had little impact and were quickly forgotten. Answer. B. They resulted in China ceding Hong Kong to Britain and opened additional ports to foreign trade. The Opium Wars marked a significant deterioration in British-Chinese relations, with Britain gaining considerable control over China's trade. Question 19. What was the purpose of the Berlin Conference of 1884 and Britain's role in it? A. To distribute Martian territories among European powers. B. To establish diplomatic relations with Asian nations. C. To regulate European colonization and trade in Africa and prevent conflict among European nations. D. To form an alliance against the United States. Answer. C. To regulate European colonization and trade in Africa and prevent conflict among European nations. Britain played a key role in the conference, which led to the scramble for Africa, influencing the division and colonization of African territories by European powers. Question 20. Who authored the Balfour Declaration and what did it promise? A. Winston Churchill. It promised British support for a Jewish homeland in Palestine. B. Arthur Balfour. It supported the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. C. Neville Chamberlain. It guaranteed peace in Europe. D. Margaret Thatcher. It offered independence to British colonies. Answer B. Arthur Balfour. It supported the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. The Balfour Declaration, issued in 1917, was a letter from the UK's Foreign Secretary Arthur Balfour to Lord Rothschild, a leader of the British Jewish community. Question 21. What was the significance of the Battle of the Somme in World War I? A. It marked a decisive victory for Allied forces. B. It was one of the deadliest battles of the war, exemplifying the horrors of trench warfare. C. It led directly to the end of the war. D. It resulted in the capture of Berlin. Answer B. It was one of the deadliest battles of the war, exemplifying the horrors of trench warfare. The Battle of the Somme is remembered for its heavy casualties and limited territorial gain, symbolizing the stalemate and devastation of World War I. Question 22. How did the Representation of the People Act 1918 alter the British voting landscape? A. It disenfranchised large segments of the working class. B. It extended the vote to women over the age of 30 and all men over the age of 21. C. It granted voting rights exclusively to military veterans. D. It abolished the property requirement for voting. Answer B. It extended the vote to women over the age of 30 and all men over the age of 21. This significant expansion of the electorate was a direct result of World War I and the changing social attitudes towards gender and class. Question 23. What economic policies did Margaret Thatcher implement during her tenure as Prime Minister? A. Nationalisation of key industries. B. Policies that increased government regulation of businesses. C. Free market reforms, privatisation of state-owned enterprises, and reduction of trade union power. D. Expansion of the welfare state. Answer C. Free market reforms, privatisation of state-owned enterprises, and reduction of trade union power. Margaret Thatcher's economic policies focused on reducing the role of the state in the economy and were marked by significant privatisation and deregulation. Question 24. Detail the events and significance of the Suez Crisis. A. It was a peaceful economic agreement between Egypt and Israel. B. It involved the nationalisation of the Suez Canal by Egypt, leading to a military conflict involving Britain, France, and Israel. C. It resulted in Britain gaining control over the Suez Canal. D. It marked the beginning of the European Union. Answer B. It involved the nationalisation of the Suez Canal by Egypt, leading to a military conflict involving Britain, France, and Israel. The Suez Crisis of 1956 was significant as it marked a turning point in British foreign policy, highlighting the decline of Britain's status as a world power. Question 25. What was the Beveridge Report, and how did it influence the British welfare state? A. A government document that called for increased military spending. B. A report that proposed comprehensive social insurance and welfare benefits, leading to the establishment of the welfare state after World War II. C. A financial report that led to the privatisation of healthcare. D. A policy paper advocating for the removal of all social safety nets. Answer B. A report that proposed comprehensive social insurance and welfare benefits, leading to the establishment of the welfare state after World War II, authored by William Beveridge. The report outlined a plan for a series of social reforms to address what he identified as 5 giants on the road of reconstruction: want, disease, ignorance, squalor, and idleness. Question 26. Describe the Windrush generation and its impact on British society. A. Immigrants from the USA who influenced the music industry. B. Immigrants from the Caribbean who arrived on the ship MV Empire Windrush in 1948, contributing significantly to the British labour force and culture. C. A group of politicians from the 1960s who implemented wind energy policies. D. Scientists who migrated to Britain during the Cold War and contributed to technological advances. Answer: B. Immigrants from the Caribbean who arrived on the ship MV Empire Windrush in 1948, contributing significantly to the British labour force and culture. The Windrush generation has had a lasting impact on British social, cultural and political life. Question 27. What were the causes and effects of the decolonization process post-World War II? A. The main cause was the economic prosperity of the colonies. The effect was the rapid industrialization of those regions. B. The primary causes were the financial strains of World War II and rising nationalist movements in the colonies. Effects included the rapid end of the British Empire and the independence of former colonies. C. The cause was Britain's decision to focus solely on European affairs. The effect was the unification of all former colonies under a single government. D. The causes included military defeats by colonial forces. The effects were the fragmentation of the UK. Answer: B. The primary causes were the financial strains of World War II and rising nationalist movements in the colonies. Effects included the rapid end of the British Empire and the independence of former colonies. The decolonization process marked a significant reshaping of global political boundaries and the emergence of new nations. Question 28. What led to the establishment of the Commonwealth of Nations? A. The defeat of the British Empire in World War II. B. The decision of former British colonies to form an economic alliance. C. The evolution of the British Empire into a free association of sovereign states. D. A treaty imposed by the United Nations. Answer: C. The evolution of the British Empire into a free association of sovereign states. The Commonwealth of Nations was formed as an intergovernmental organization of countries that were mostly former territories of the British Empire, promoting political, economic and educational cooperation among member states. Question 29. Who was involved in the Cambridge spy ring, and what was their impact on the Cold War? A. A group of Soviet spies based in Cambridge who significantly impacted the Cold War by passing information to the Soviet Union. B. American spies who infiltrated British universities during the Cold War. C. British scientists who spied for the USA. D. German spies who influenced British policy during the Cold War. Answer: A. A group of Soviet spies based in Cambridge who significantly impacted the Cold War by passing information to the Soviet Union. The Cambridge spy ring, including figures like Kim Philby and Guy Burgess, was notorious for its role in leaking British secrets to the Soviets, affecting the dynamics of Cold War espionage. Question 30. What is the significance of the Winter of Discontent? A. It refers to a period of major industrial strife and public sector strikes during the winter of 1978 to 1979, leading to significant changes in British labour laws. B. It was a particularly harsh winter that led to widespread famine. C. It was a financial crisis that resulted in the collapse of the British economy. D. It was a public relations campaign designed to promote tourism in Britain during winter. Answer: A. It refers to a period of major industrial strife and public sector strikes during the winter of 1978 to 1979, leading to significant changes in British labour laws. The Winter of Discontent marked a critical moment in UK history, influencing the political landscape and leading to the election of Margaret Thatcher in 1979. Question 31. Detail the contributions of Alan Turing during World War II. A. He led the British naval forces. B. He developed theories in economics that helped Britain manage war finances. C. His work at Bletchley Park on cryptanalysis of the Enigma code provided critical intelligence. D. He served as a diplomat negotiating alliances. Answer. C. His work at Bletchley Park on cryptanalysis of the Enigma code provided critical intelligence. Alan Turing's pioneering work in breaking German codes is credited with shortening the war and saving countless lives. Question 32. Explain the significance of the Falklands War in British military history. A. It was a minor conflict with little impact on British military policies. B. It marked the first use of nuclear weapons by Britain. C. It was a conflict in 1982 against Argentina over the Falkland Islands, reinforcing British territorial claims and military resolve. D. It resulted in significant territorial losses for Britain. Answer. C. It was a conflict in 1982 against Argentina over the Falkland Islands, reinforcing British territorial claims and military resolve. The Falklands War is significant for its role in boosting national pride and the political standing of Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. Question 33. What reforms did the Factory Acts bring during the Industrial Revolution? A. They decreased wages to increase industrial profits. B. They limited the working hours for children and women and improved safety standards in factories. C. They mandated the use of children in factories. D. They abolished all factory regulations to promote industrial growth. Answer. B. They limited the working hours for children and women and improved safety standards in factories. The Factory Acts were a series of laws passed to mitigate the worst abuses of industrialization, marking the beginning of modern employment law in Britain. Question 34. What was the impact of the Chartist movement on British society? A. It led to immediate legislative changes granting universal suffrage. B. It was an artistic movement with little political impact. C. Although initially unsuccessful, it set the stage for future electoral reforms and workers' rights. D. It caused a temporary suspension of the democratic process in Britain. Answer. C. Although initially unsuccessful, it set the stage for future electoral reforms and workers' rights. The Chartist movement was significant for its role in advocating for political reforms and influencing the development of democratic principles in Britain. Question 35. Who were the suffragettes and what did they achieve? A. They were a group of women who campaigned successfully for women's right to vote. B. They were a musical band known for their songs about women's rights. C. They were authors who wrote about women's suffrage. D. They were a political party that opposed women's voting rights. Answer. A. They were a group of women who campaigned successfully for women's right to vote. The suffragettes used both peaceful and militant tactics to achieve women's suffrage, significantly advancing women's rights in Britain. Question 36. How did the British government respond to the Irish Easter Rising of 1916? A. It granted immediate independence to Ireland. B. It ignored the uprising and made no changes in policy. C. It executed several leaders and imposed martial law, which increased support for Irish independence. D. It negotiated a peaceful resolution and granted all demands. Answer. C. It executed several leaders and imposed martial law, which increased support for Irish independence. The harsh response to the Easter Rising galvanized Irish nationalist sentiment and led to increased support for the cause of independence from Britain. Question 37. What was the purpose of the Anglo-Irish Treaty of 1921? A. To create a military alliance between Ireland and Britain. B. To end the Irish War of Independence and establish the Irish Free State. C. To annex Northern Ireland to the Republic of Ireland. D. To declare war on Ireland. Answer. B. To end the Irish War of Independence and establish the Irish Free State. The treaty provided for the establishment of the Irish Free State as a dominion within the British Empire, which later led to the complete independence of Ireland. Question 38. Describe the implications of the special relationship between the UK and the USA. A. It refers to a historical conflict between the two nations. B. It is a diplomatic and military partnership that has shaped international policies. C. It ended formally in the 20th century. D. It is based solely on cultural exchanges. Answer. B. It is a diplomatic and military partnership that has shaped international policies. The special relationship is a term used to describe the close political, diplomatic, and military cooperation between the UK and the USA, significantly influencing global affairs. Question 39. What role did Britain play in the creation of the United Nations? A. Britain opposed the formation of the United Nations. B. Britain was a founding member and played a key role in formulating the UN's structure and charter. C. Britain joined the UN only after it was established. D. Britain played a minor role with little influence. Answer. B. Britain was a founding member and played a key role in formulating the UN's structure and charter. The UK's involvement was pivotal in the establishment of the United Nations in 1945, aiming to promote international cooperation and prevent future conflicts. Question 40. Explain the significance of the Good Friday Agreement. A. It was a peace agreement that ended the Napoleonic Wars. B. It was an economic treaty between the UK and the European Union. C. It marked the end of the Troubles by establishing a power-sharing government in Northern Ireland. D. It dissolved the UK Parliament. Answer. C. It marked the end of the Troubles by establishing a power-sharing government in Northern Ireland. The Good Friday Agreement of 1998 was crucial in bringing an end to decades of sectarian conflict in Northern Ireland, laying the foundation for political stability and shared governance. Question 41. What are the main features of the British judicial system? A. It is based entirely on the European Court of Justice. B. It operates under a single unified legal system for the whole of the UK. C. It includes separate legal systems for England and Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. D. It is an informal system based on community enforcement. Answer. C. It includes separate legal systems for England and Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. The British judicial system is unique in that it accommodates different legal frameworks within one sovereign nation, reflecting the country's diverse legal heritage. Question 42. How did the National Health Service, NHS, come into existence? A. It was established following a public referendum. B. It was created in 1948 by the Beveridge Report as part of post-war reconstruction. C. It evolved from private health insurance systems in the 19th century. D. It was formed after the privatization of healthcare in the 1980s. Answer. B. It was created in 1948 by the Beveridge Report as part of post-war reconstruction. The NHS was founded on the principle that good healthcare should be available to all, regardless of wealth, which was a revolutionary idea at the time. Question 43. What were the main factors leading to the vote for Brexit in 2016? A. Economic downturn and a decrease in immigration. B. Public satisfaction with European Union policies. C. Concerns over sovereignty and immigration, and a widespread desire for economic independence from EU regulations. D. The UK's desire to adopt the euro as its currency. Answer: C. Concerns over sovereignty and immigration, and a widespread desire for economic independence from EU regulations. The Brexit vote reflected complex factors, including national identity and economic concerns, leading to the decision to leave the European Union. Question 44. Detail the contributions of British scientists to the discovery of DNA. A. They were primarily involved in funding research. B. British scientists, including Rosalind Franklin and Maurice Wilkins, played critical roles in understanding the structure of DNA. C. British scientists were peripheral, with most research conducted in the United States. D. They focused mainly on protein structures, not DNA. Answer: B. British scientists, including Rosalind Franklin and Maurice Wilkins, played critical roles in understanding the structure of DNA. Their work was instrumental in the discovery of DNA's double helix structure, a breakthrough in understanding genetic material. Question 45. What role did the Bank of England play in the global financial crisis of 2008? A. It was primarily a victim of the crisis with little role in managing it. B. It acted as a central bank by implementing policies to stabilize the banking system and providing significant liquidity to the financial markets. C. It chose to ignore the crisis, resulting in severe repercussions. D. It focused on promoting consumer spending rather than stabilizing banks. Answer: B. It acted as a central bank by implementing policies to stabilize the banking system and providing significant liquidity to the financial markets. The Bank of England played a crucial role in managing the crisis within the UK, helping to mitigate its impact on the British economy. Question 46. Describe the evolution of the British monarchy from absolute to constitutional monarchy. A. The change occurred overnight following a public uprising. B. It was a gradual process culminating in the establishment of parliamentary supremacy over the monarchy by the late 17th century. C. The monarchy voluntarily relinquished all powers in the 18th century. D. The monarchy remains absolute but with ceremonial roles. Answer: B. It was a gradual process culminating in the establishment of parliamentary supremacy over the monarchy by the late 17th century. This evolution was marked by significant events like the signing of the Magna Carta and the Glorious Revolution, which progressively limited the powers of the monarchy. Question 47. What are the implications of the Human Rights Act 1998 for UK law? A. It made it illegal for private companies to violate human rights. B. It incorporated the European Convention on Human Rights into domestic British law, allowing UK courts to hear human rights cases. C. It restricted the UK's ability to legislate on matters of national security. D. It led to the UK withdrawing from the European Union. Answer: B. It incorporated the European Convention on Human Rights into domestic British law, allowing UK courts to hear human rights cases. This act significantly impacted how human rights are protected in the UK, providing a means for individuals to challenge breaches of their rights within the domestic judicial system. Question 48. Explain the controversy surrounding the West Lothian question. A. It concerns the eligibility of Welsh MPs to vote on England-specific legislation. B. It deals with the voting rights of Scottish MPs on matters that affect only England, following devolution. C. It is about whether Northern Ireland should remain part of the UK. D. It relates to the UK's voting system and whether it should be changed. Answer. B. It deals with the voting rights of Scottish MPs on matters that affect only England, following devolution. The West Lothian question highlights the complexities and perceived inequities in the UK Parliament's voting system, particularly after devolution granted different levels of legislative power to Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Question 49. Detail the economic impacts of the Industrial Revolution on the British Empire. A. It led to a decrease in industrial output, but an increase in agricultural productivity. B. The Industrial Revolution significantly enhanced British economic power and fueled the expansion and consolidation of the empire. C. It had little impact on the British economy, but transformed social structures. D. The revolution slowed down technological advancements in Britain. Answer. B. The Industrial Revolution significantly enhanced British economic power and fueled the expansion and consolidation of the empire. It marked a period of major industrial, technological, and social change that allowed Britain to dominate global trade and expand its imperial influence. Question 50. What was the role of the Magna Carta in shaping modern democracy? A. It provided the first written constitution in the world. B. It was insignificant and largely symbolic with no real impact. C. It introduced the concept of a parliamentary system. D. It established the principle that everyone, including the king, was subject to the law, influencing the development of the rule of law in democratic societies. Answer. D. It established the principle that everyone, including the king, was subject to the law, influencing the development of the rule of law in democratic societies. The Magna Carta, signed in 1215, is a cornerstone in the history of modern democracy, laying foundational principles that have influenced constitutional and democratic developments worldwide. Question 51. Explain how the Battle of Waterloo influenced European politics. A. It started the process of European integration. B. It marked the end of Napoleon Bonaparte's rule, leading to a significant reshaping of European borders and the balance of power. C. It led to the unification of German states. D. It had little impact, with European politics remaining stable. Answer. B. It marked the end of Napoleon Bonaparte's rule, leading to a significant reshaping of European borders and the balance of power. The Battle of Waterloo in 1815 was a decisive turning point, ending Napoleonic Wars and leading to a period of relative peace and the redrawing of the map at the Congress of Vienna. Question 52. Detail the impact of the Victorian era on the British class system. A. It abolished the class system entirely. B. It solidified class distinctions, with a clear division between the aristocracy, the emerging middle class, and the working class. C. It led to complete social mobility, where class distinctions were erased. D. It was characterized by significant economic equality. Answer. B. It solidified class distinctions, with a clear division between the aristocracy, the emerging middle class, and the working class. The Victorian era saw the entrenchment of the class system, although it also witnessed the rise of the middle class, which played a pivotal role in societal changes during the period. Question 53. What legislative measures were taken during the reign of Elizabeth I to stabilize the British economy? A. The introduction of the gold standard. B. The implementation of strict mercantilist policies to control trade and increase national wealth. C. The deregulation of the grain market. D. The elimination of all taxes. Answer. B. The implementation of strict mercantilist policies to control trade and increase national wealth. Queen Elizabeth I's reign saw the enforcement of measures that aimed to strengthen the economy through mercantilism, bolstering England's position as a commercial and maritime power. Question 54. Describe the changes in British immigration policy since the 1960s. A. There has been a consistent opening of borders with no restrictions. B. Immigration policies have oscillated between restrictive controls and more liberal periods, reflecting economic needs and political climate. C. Immigration was completely halted in the 1980s. D. Policies have solely focused on encouraging skilled immigration since the 1960s. Answer. B. Immigration policies have oscillated between restrictive controls and more liberal periods, reflecting economic needs and political climate. Changes in immigration policy over the decades have mirrored broader social, economic, and political trends, from more open policies in the late 20th century to tighter controls in recent years. Question 55. What was the impact of the Enclosure Acts on British agricultural communities? A. They led to the modernisation and increased productivity of agriculture, but also caused widespread displacement of peasant farmers. B. They decreased agricultural production significantly. C. They increased the communal ownership of land. D. They had no impact on agriculture, but changed urban landscapes. Answer. A. They led to the modernization and increased productivity of agriculture, but also caused widespread displacement of peasant farmers. The Enclosure Acts, which consolidated and privatized common lands, were pivotal in transforming agricultural practices, but also resulted in social upheaval and migration to urban areas. Question 56. Detail the role of Winston Churchill during the Second World War. A. He was a minor political figure with little influence. B. As Prime Minister, his leadership and oratory were crucial in boosting British morale and leading the country to victory. C. He served as a general in the British Army. D. He was an ambassador to the United States. Answer. B. As Prime Minister, his leadership and oratory were crucial in boosting British morale and leading the country to victory. Winston Churchill is celebrated for his dynamic leadership and inspirational speeches that galvanized the British public and military forces during World War II. Question 57. Explain the significance of the Scottish Enlightenment on European thought. A. It had minimal impact outside of Scotland. B. It was a cultural movement that emphasized traditional Scottish music and art. C. Intellectuals like David Hume and Adam Smith introduced ideas that profoundly influenced philosophy, economics, and science in Europe. D. It focused solely on religious reforms in Scotland. Answer. C. Intellectuals like David Hume and Adam Smith introduced ideas that profoundly influenced philosophy, economics, and science in Europe. The Scottish Enlightenment was a period of intense intellectual and scientific activity that had a lasting impact on both British and European intellectual landscapes. Question 58. What was the impact of Thatcherism on the British economy and social policy? A. It led to significant government expansion and increased public spending. B. The policies reduced state intervention in the economy, emphasizing deregulation, privatization, and a free market economy, which led to economic growth but also increased social inequality. C. It focused on strengthening labor unions. D. Thatcherism promoted heavy industrialization and state ownership of industries. Answer B. The policies reduced state intervention in the economy, emphasizing deregulation, privatization, and a free market economy, which led to economic growth but also increased social inequality. Thatcherism marked a significant shift in British economic policy and had lasting effects on social structures and public policy. Question 59. Describe the development and significance of the British railway system in the 19th century. A. It had little impact on British commerce and transport. B. It was primarily developed for military use and had no commercial applications. C. The expansion of the railway network facilitated economic growth, urbanization, and the integration of national markets, playing a crucial role in the Industrial Revolution. D. The railways were built but were never actually used for transport. Answer C. The expansion of the railway network facilitated economic growth, urbanization, and the integration of national markets, playing a crucial role in the Industrial Revolution. The development of the railway system in Britain not only revolutionized transportation, but also had profound socio-economic impacts. Question 60. How did the Glorious Revolution of 1688 affect the power dynamics in England? A. It consolidated the power of the monarchy. B. It led to the establishment of parliamentary sovereignty over the monarchy. C. It resulted in England losing significant territories overseas. D. It had no significant impact on power dynamics. Answer B. It led to the establishment of parliamentary sovereignty over the monarchy. The Glorious Revolution is notable for affirming the power of Parliament over the monarchy, laying foundational principles for constitutional monarchy and parliamentary democracy in England. Question 61. What were the main causes of the British civil wars in the 17th century? A. Economic disputes between the monarchy and the nobility. B. Conflicts over religious freedoms and the power of the monarchy. C. Disputes over colonial territories. D. A succession crisis following the death of a monarch. Answer B. Conflicts over religious freedoms and the power of the monarchy. The British civil wars stemmed from complex issues, including struggles over political power and governance, and significant disagreements over religious freedoms. Question 62. Explain the role of Britain in the abolition of the transatlantic slave trade. A. Britain had no role in the abolition. It was solely a French initiative. B. Britain led the efforts to end the slave trade, implementing the Slave Trade Act in 1807, which made it illegal to trade slaves within the British Empire. C. Britain opposed the abolition movements until the late 19th century. D. Britain was primarily focused on expanding the slave trade during the period. Answer B. Britain led the efforts to end the slave trade, implementing the Slave Trade Act in 1807, which made it illegal to trade slaves within the British Empire. This marked a significant step in international efforts towards abolition, influenced by years of advocacy and moral debate. Question 63. What was the impact of British colonial policies on India? A. They had little impact on India's economy or society. B. They promoted rapid industrial development in India. C. They led to significant economic exploitation, cultural changes, and contributed to the movement for Indian independence. D. They improved healthcare and educational standards uniformly across the country. Answer C. They led to significant economic exploitation, cultural changes, and contributed to the movement for Indian independence. British colonial policies had profound and lasting impacts on India's social structure, economy, and the eventual push for sovereignty. Question 64. Describe the role of the Royal Air Force in Britain's defence during World War II. A. The RAF was primarily involved in ground operations in Europe. B. It played a crucial role, particularly in the Battle of Britain, where it defended the UK against German air assaults. C. It served as a transportation service for the British Army with little involvement in combat. D. The RAF did not exist until after World War II. Answer: B. It played a crucial role, particularly in the Battle of Britain, where it defended the UK against German air assaults. The effectiveness of the RAF was pivotal in maintaining British morale and preventing a German invasion during the critical phases of World War II. Question 65. What was the primary objective of the Statute of Labourers in 1351? A. To promote fair wages and improve working conditions. B. To restrict wages and limit the mobility of labourers following the Black Death. C. To encourage immigration to increase the labour force. D. To abolish all forms of labour organisation. Answer: B. To restrict wages and limit the mobility of labourers following the Black Death. The Statute of Labourers was enacted to control labour costs and prevent the migration of workers, aiming to stabilise the labour market in the aftermath of the population decline due to the plague.